Do you guys remember that magic 8 ball we used to have as kids growing up? Well, we thought we'd have some fun this week on the podcast as we move to video with Sean and do a little retirement planning with the magic 8 ball. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome into the podcast. Thanks for tuning in to Retirement Elevated with Sean and myself. And Sean, we've made the move to video, dude. How are you?
I'm good, man. Hey, we are moving up in the world.
All right, we're doing something, right? So we've been talking for a long time in audio form, and we were giggling. We were like, "Oh, that's what you look like."
Yeah, I actually had no clue.
Yeah,
I'd never even seen your face. We had done all the podcasts with the headphones and all that fun stuff, but now we have to look at each other for however long we do these podcasts.
Yeah, 15 minutes. I think we can handle it, right? Something like that.
I think we'll be all right.
Minutes. Well, you're looking good. We're both a little gray, but that's all right.
I'm looking forward to seeing what this looks like in 2 years, because 2 years ago, the beard was not gray.
Okay.
And now it's almost all gray. So I just have a little bit here that's black, and then we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I had this for a while. This was white and this was still black, and it was very stark and very strange, but now they're starting to blend in together. So I'm not gray anymore. I'm just white. But let's have some fun. Well, we're about the same age roughly, so we'll go back to the Magic 8 ball. I don't even know if they still sell this thing. You got little kids. Do they still sell a Magic 8 ball?
Yeah, I have one in my office. And I meant to bring it in here. I didn't, but that would have been even more fun to shake it up and take a look at it. But
well, you can pretend. You use your imagination then.
Absolutely.
But I'll give you a retirement question or a financial question, and you shake the Magic 8 ball, so to speak, and tell us what you think about it, right? And so we'll just have a fun. We'll just do a few of those and kind of get us into the groove when it comes to doing stuff on video now. So we'll have a little fun with that. So Magic 8 ball. I guess you could rub your head too, right? Should I start saving for retirement now?
Well, the 8 ball on this one, I actually shook the 8 ball earlier, and it came out and it said yes, definitely. I mean, it's never too early to save for retirement. So, like, I even sat down with my daughter. She's 15 on Monday night, and she's getting to the age where she's she's a sophomore in high school. She's starting to think about where she wants to go to college.
Sure.
And, in her mind, she wants to go cheer at the University of Utah or Utah Valley University. So we were talking about that. And I said, well, let's go through what that looks like for you. Mm-hmm. And I pulled up her 529 account, and we went through the finances of what that looks like from a actual expense to go to one of those local colleges.
Right.
And what her 529 plan looked like. And then I told her, I said, hey, listen, if you decide to go to a college that costs you less, you have the choice to take this money then and roll it into a Roth IRA retirement account.
Yeah, that's the new rules, right? They just did that this past year. So yeah.
So now you can start to save for retirement
at a young age.
Yeah. And you've got you're going to have a nest egg of funds that you can just start to build and accumulate as time goes on. And she has another investment account that we went through. She owns stock that she likes, right? Like she likes Disney, and she likes, she has Tesla stock, and then she has like a S&P 500 Spider ETF. So I walked her through that, and she's like, well, when should I start saving more? And I said, now. Like, you're 15, like the earlier that you save, the better.
Hey, $50 a month or something if she's got a part-time gig or something like that, right? As you start to get into your first working job, a little here, a little there goes a long way, because she got 50 years to go, right? So that could turn into a lot of money.
And if you save earlier, you probably can retire a little earlier.
Yeah.
But
let's go the other way, Sean, just, since she's 15, but, if you're 50, should you start saving now?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Don't wait. If you're 61, start. Like, it's better than continuing to wait, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, our government, for example, there's a lot of talk about Social Security.
Sure.
Well, history shows that our politicians kick the can down the road and let somebody else deal with it. Well, let's not do that with retirement. Let's not kick the can down the road. Let's start to save as early as possible.
Yeah.
Or if you haven't saved yet, just start to save now. whatever you can. There's never a time that's too late to save something.
Yeah. Like, it's like, what's that saying? When's the best time to plant a tree? Yesterday. And if not, then today, kind of thing. So you can get it, get the thing growing. So no matter what your age is, whether you're 15 or 50 or 60, obviously the more time you've got, the more somebody like Sean has, to work with, more options to help you get ready for retirement. But by all means, please start now if you need to do so.
Save as soon as you can.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So Magic 8 Ball. Is $1 million enough to retire on in 2024 when we're taping this?
Well, let's see here. I don't have the 8 ball with me, but I think that this reply is going to be hazy. We might have to try again.
Try again? Yeah, exactly.
Right. And here's why. I mean, the reality of it is, and my partner Scott out in Kansas City, he was just an executive producer on a movie called The Psychology of Retirement. Mm-hmm. And I just watched the movie. It's a phenomenal movie. I think we're probably going to have some showings out here of it. But the interesting part is that a lot of the people that are interviewed and a lot of people that we talk to today, they all think that they have to have this like magical number in retirement. And when you ask somebody, it's like, hey, how much do you need for retirement? Oh, I need $2 million or I need $1 million or ING. And that, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. What's your
big
number?
Orange thing that said your number is 1 point.
Yeah.
It doesn't take any of the math into that. So I don't know if you asked me and said, hey, Sean, is $1 million enough? I'd say, I don't know what your math problem looks like.
Right. Well, retirement is a math problem, right?
Exactly.
And it's a sexy conversation point, right? I get it. Somebody's like, hey, I want to be able to say I'm a millionaire, or whatever, right? But if you're really thinking about the longevity of this, and we were just talking and talking about your daughter, saving early, and she could maybe even retire early, right? By the time she keeps going. Well, then that changes that number, right? And also how you live, Sean. So how you live and how I live, we might be both sitting there vying for the $1 million, but we may live totally differently. And maybe 650,000 gets it done for me because I live in the sticks in the middle of nowhere and my cost of living is down, right? Or who knows,
Or you have a pension, and people discount the opportunity of having a pension. There's a lot of Utah retirement systems people that have great pensions. IHC has a pretty good pension. Mm-hmm. Moog, a lot of the companies that we work with and the families that we represent, they've got pensions, and making the decision on the pension is just as important.
Yeah.
And if you look and say, hey, well, my pension's going to give me $50,000 a year, Social Security is going to give me $30,000 a year. I've got $80,000 of like fixed income coming in when I retire.
I don't need much from my
That's
nest egg.
better than $1 million.
Yeah.
Because you can't, on $1 million, you can't really make $80,000 a year of income.
True.
So,
and if you're sitting on maybe that 600,000 or something I talked about or whatever, then you're like, hey, I don't even need to pull, but a modest amount from that account, each year. And that makes that stretch out much, much further, right? Versus doing something like the 4% rule on $1 million, $40,000 a year, yada, yada. So, yeah, I think, with a Magic 8 Ball answer like that, reply hazy, try
it's
again.
Hazy. I'm not quite sure because I don't know what your math problem looks like.
There you go. All right, Magic 8 Ball, can I rely on Social Security in retirement? Rely being the operative word.
I would say that the outlook may not be so good on that one.
Right.
And it's not that Social Security is going to go away because I don't
think so
believe
either.
it is.
Yeah, I don't either.
I actually don't believe that it's going to be adjusted down for our largest segment of society, which are the baby boomers.
Right.
I do think that Social Security is going to change. And I think
for your daughter, for example.
What's that?
For your daughter, for example.
For me too.
Possibly.
And so I think that that when Social Security was first created and enacted, like 62 was early retirement, 65 was retirement, life expectancy was 65.
Right.
Well, as time has gone on, none of that's really changed. So we're living longer, 15, 20 years into retirement, but we're able to pull out this, old age insurance or the social benefit or whatever you want to call it earlier when we're younger. And that's putting strain and stress on Social Security. So, do I think it's going to be there? Yeah. But do I think it's going to be changed? Yeah, absolutely. Well, it has to change.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, I think the same thing. Like, I have a family member who is living solely on Social Security because things went sour for them with their retirement, prior in 2008 with the big, recession there. And can you do it? Yes. I think the question then you switch to is it the retirement you dreamed of? Probably not. right?
Right.
So could you survive on it? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are doing it, but it's not the retirement you want. So have some contingency plans so that you don't have to rely on it, right? And then that's how you're getting
And
better
use it
shape.
as a tool. Like, let's leverage Social Security so you don't have to use your assets to live your life, right? I'd love to let the government pay you, 30 grand a year, and then let you keep your nest egg and use your nest egg for all the fun stuff,
Right.
and let Social Security cover your expenses or whatever
There you
it
go.
may be.
There you go. Okay. So that kind of really works really well with this next question here, Magic 8 Ball. Is it wise to have multiple sources of retirement income? To that point, don't just have the one in SS and Social Security.
It is certain.
It is certain.
Absolutely certain.
There you go. There you go.
To have multiple sources of income in retirement is important.
Yeah.
And I look at that from a number of factors, right? Like, I look at multiple sources of income. So do we have Social Security? Do we have pensions? Do we have rental income? Are we going to work part-time?
Mm-hmm.
Do we use an annuity? Do we use dividend income? What are all these places that we can create income from?
Right.
But then take it one step further and look at multiple tax sources, right? So do we have a traditional IRA or a 401k? Do we have a Roth IRA, Roth 401k that's going to be taxed differently, right? The traditional are taxed as ordinary income. Roths aren't taxed.
Okay.
Do we have a brokerage account that we can use in the middle that is taxed maybe with capital gains or whatever? So I look at the different layers of income, not only from a sources perspective, but also from how is your income going to be taxed to you.
Good point. Yeah, good point for sure. Well, I want to try to squeeze two more in here on this first podcast, so we don't get too long and drive people too nuts with our faces just yet. But can I expect to have fewer expenses in retirement, Magic 8 Ball, than I do when I'm working?
Ooh, no, don't count on it.
Right. Yeah. Right.
We found that expenses change, right? The money that you spend is usually the money that you spend. Now, could expenses go down? Yeah, absolutely.
I think they go down in some and up in others, right, Sean? I mean, because your life has now changed a little bit. So yeah, maybe the work expenses have, disappeared. But I mean, look, my dad told me like years ago when I was about 15, about your daughter's age, he said when he got to retirement he had me late and he got to retirement and I was young and he's like, every day is a Saturday, man. Pretty great. And I was like, cool. And he's like, but I also spend the most money on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing, like, oh, hey, I'm not driving to work. I'm not spending gas there, but I'm not, going out to lunches all the time. But, I've got a client of ours that is an avid golfer. He golfs 5 days a week. Well, he's driving to the course, he's golfing, and yeah, he's getting it at a discount, but that's a daily expense that he has. And maybe he's buying a drink or, whatever it may be.
Sure.
But we see expenses usually don't go down, they shift.
Right.
With the exception of, hey, Sean, I paid my house off 2 months before retirement. I don't have that expense anymore.
Right.
So if you see a big, a mortgage come off or, you pay a car off before you retire, yeah, you're not going to have those expenses. Mm-hmm. But the everyday, day-to-day stuff, that usually stays pretty close to the same.
Well, and everybody's heard these terms. They've heard the go-go years, the slow-go years, the no-go years, right? So in the go-go, you're out doing the things in retirement, hopefully, that you've been planning for your whole life, the dreams, the bucket list, that kind of stuff, and it's probably going to cost money. Then you're going to hit the slow-go years, and yeah, maybe that evens out those expenses a little bit, but then you hit the no-go years, but guess what? Now you got more medical, now you got more healthcare, right?
Exactly.
So, to count on it, to rely on it, to think, hey, my expenses are going to be lower, it's a bit of a misnomer we've been kind of pushed. It's been pushed on us as we get closer to retirement. Just kind of like taxes as well, right? You'll be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. Most of the time, most people are typically, maybe, but usually they're in the same one, right?
Well, because you need the same level of income.
Unless you want to go backwards in your lifestyle, and who wants that?
Well, and the other side to that is that if you have, $100,000 a year of income and you're saving into retirement, you're really probably living off of 80, right? And so that's the taxable income. Well, you need to live off of 80.
Okay.
And that's your taxable income. You're netting out closer to 60 in the state of Utah with state taxes and things like that.
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily change. But if you reverse engineer it back and say, well, what do I need monthly to live? It's probably going to come out close in this example to $5,000 a month.
Yeah. And what happens to that in 12 years? It doubles. Right.
Yeah.
So, the
10
cost
grand
of
a month.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, one more. And speaking of taxes, we'll do this one. Magic 8 Ball, will my retirement plan be affected by future changes in tax law?
All signs are pointing to yes right now.
Right.
The reality is that tax law is going to change in 2026.
If nothing gets done. Yeah.
If nothing gets done. Now, do we know what tax law is going to look like? And there's a lot of theories and there's a lot of, plans that are put in place by the candidates.
Right. Yeah. And I guess we should say, because it's YouTube and people can see stuff whenever. We're taping this in September. So we're about 46 days before the election-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. That's going to change a lot of things. Right? That could make the tax law change sooner, later, or not at all. So...
Yeah, I mean, what happens? I mean, what's going to happen if Harris is elected? What happens if Trump is elected?
Right.
All of that is just conjecture right now. Like, we don't really know what policies are going to be put in place.
Right. But that's one administration, right, Sean? I mean, that's potentially just 4 more years. If you're retired, God willing, 30 years, you're going to see multiple administrations.
And we're a lot of different tax law changes.
And we're in $35 trillion worth of debt. So, I think most people, as much as we hate that, feel like, more than likely. I was just sitting in on an interview earlier this week, Sean, with David Walker, the former Comptroller General of the U.S., and he was talking, about that. This guy obviously knows the numbers, knows the math. He worked for Clinton, he worked for Reagan, so on and so forth. And, so he's sitting there talking about, look, we can't just tax our way out of this debt, but we also can't just cut spending our way out of this debt. It's going to be a marriage of multiple things, And so he's like, no matter who gets elected in the coming years, taxes are going to probably be rising, and sometimes possibly significantly. So, to your point, with the Magic 8 Ball there, you need to start planning on how to be as tax efficient as possible with what you know now.
Well, and that's why it's important to have different buckets of money, right? Like have IRA money, have Roth money, have after tax money, because then you at least somewhat insulate yourself from big changes.
Great point.
You can then have tax control.
Yeah.
If I've got after tax money that is sitting in a pot and tax rates go way up, well, maybe I use more of the after tax money than the IRA money. Or if tax rates go way down, then maybe I use more of the traditional IRA money and less of the other money, because I can get that money at a cheaper tax rate.
Yeah, great point.
And that just comes with just pure planning and figuring out, what does my plan need? How much income do I need? And how can I best massage my tax rate with what I have available?
There you go. All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the Magic 8 Ball in this, I guess, our kickoff video version of the show. There you go. So we'll be doing this on audio form still. As always, you'll find us on Apple. You can find us on Spotify in podcast audio form. You can find us on YouTube, of course, now as well. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll be getting this launched so you can catch new episodes when they come out. So you get that little thumbs up for new episodes, or ring the bell for notifications on new episodes. Thumbs up if you like the episode. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. And you can find all that stuff by checking the show note details of the podcast this week. But if you need some help, it's also been on the screen this whole time. Go to elevatemyretirement.com. That's elevatemyretirement.com, or call Sean and the team, and the number's on the screen as well and in the show notes. So, Sean, thanks for hanging out, my friend. Good stuff. Fun way to start.
Yeah, this is a good one. I got one little story for you. My daughter, because I'm bald, she actually asked me if she could rhinestone Magic 8 Ball my head for Halloween.
Okay, we got to do that on video, I think, right?
Maybe one of them I'll have a full Magic 8 Ball rhinestoned head.
There you go. Well, the internet is forever, so think that through.
I know. I've been holding off on it, but I was also told that I'm going to be Gru for Halloween, so there'll be all the minions.
Nice.
So we'll see what happens.
You got to work on the voice too, so you can get the Gru voice going.
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out, everybody. We appreciate it. Don't forget to tune in for more episodes of Retirement Elevated with Sean Lee.
Investment advisory services offered through Elevated Capital Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor.